welcome back to a very special episode of Year of the Empire. This is going to be our Halloween special, but basically it's because we didn't feel like doing 2 episodes
Does it just
this
seem
month.
brighter to you?
Maybe?
But I feel like that light's always been on. Or did they put a new light bulb in
They
there?
might have. I know that my hair kind of reflects the light a lot, so I just kind of look like a highlighter.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Alright, well, we're not editing that out. We're just going to keep on trucking. This is our special Halloween episode, and originally we were going to do 2 episodes in October like we've been doing, but I kind of thought about the movies we had planned, which was 24 episodes for 2 a month for all 12 months, and one, I didn't have a lot of time to do a lot of all this 2 episodes, but mainly I was like, I don't think that needs to be a separate episode. There was going to be a Troll documentary, like Troll 2 documentary we're going to do, but we'll just bump that into Troll 2.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
There's no point. But we'll get to that later. Right now we're at the granddaddy of Empire Pictures, which is Re-Animator, which was released in 1985 by Stuart Gordon, who is someone we've already talked about a lot, and I'll get to him in a minute.
Disclaimer. Multiple times I said I haven't seen this movie. I have indeed seen this movie.
I knew you've seen this movie, but I was never going to correct you during this.
And I really, I said it a lot.
You did.
And, it was the first, minute of the movie. I'm like, I think I've seen this. So, disclaimer.
I was wrong.
I brought this up so many times, just ignore this. I have seen this movie. That's bad.
Yeah, it was many times you have brought that up. So one thing I'll say, and I realized this about halfway through Re-Animator, I had seen it twice before, and apparently Shane has seen it once before.
Yeah, I've seen it once before.
And while watching it again, after watching all these other Empire Picture movies, the reason this movie is so highly regarded and people think so highly of it, this is like a horror classic, really, like A-level horror classic, is because it does not feel like a Empire Pictures movie in the slightest.
Acting there was some, it's not got the best acting.
In some spots, yeah.
And some of the actors aren't the best when it comes to how they portray their characters come off very
over the top, I think.
Over the top.
Which I feel like some might be intentional.
Yeah, so but the script was written well, the story's it's not like some of these Empires where the story's just kind of retarded.
This is a pretty good story.
Yeah, I would say, I don't know how much was taken from
I've looked into that, and we'll talk about it in a bit. But honestly, it's just this. I want to say the best thing, and we'll talk more about that too. Is the gore effects in this movie are top notch. There's some good Empire Pictures stuff. This is better than anything that we have seen before. And this is the most. I don't know. What do you think? Is this the most entertaining Empire Picture movies you've seen? This is mine.
I don't remember which ones I really liked, but
Metal Storm.
I don't know if I really liked them.
I don't know if I liked Metal Storm.
Metal Storm was watchable, so I guess.
This movie goes beyond watchable.
Yeah, this is actually a good movie.
Unlike all the others.
Ignore the whole thing that I've seen it before and I totally forgot I've seen it. I guess that doesn't sound well. That doesn't bode well for the movie, but it's a good movie.
It is a good movie. So we'll go more in detail. So it was released in 1985 and by Stuart Gordon, which we've already reviewed his other stuff that he made for Empire Pictures. And this was the first one he did. So this is where he started out. And that's when he followed it up with, as we said, H.P. Lovecraft. So he followed it up with, first off, Dolls, which was pretty good. And then From Beyond was kind of like his Lovecraft continuation of this. Not like a sequel or anything, but it is kind of in a similar vein. It pretty much takes Lovecraft and makes it very similar Mud vein. And it takes... It kind of takes the whole idea of taking Lovecraft, making it extraordinarily gory, making it somewhat sexual, and just seeing what happens. Oh, and also it has, I don't know if you noticed, the lead girl from this movie, Barbara Crampton, was the lead in From Beyond.
I saw her titties.
You did. Yeah, she's the one that dressed up in the bondage.
I remember.
Yeah. But then also...
Was From Beyond the one where it's just this guy's into some weird shit?
It was kid gory.
Actually, From Beyond was actually a good movie. So
I don't think it's as good as Re-Animator.
No, it's not.
But I think it's top notch too. But it's definitely a step below.
Yeah, it's definitely not an A-list movie.
Arguably, I would say this one.
I don't know if you would still call it an A-list, because A-list you're putting up there with Saving Private Ryan.
A-list horror movie.
Okay.
I would put this up with Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay, that because I would say Friday the 13th probably isn't A-list
for a horror movie.
Yes. So that makes sense.
And then the guy who plays Herbert West, which is the main character, like one of the two main characters.
Herbie
he's the main character from Beyond. And then also more information about Stuart Gordon. He went on to also make a full moon movie called Castle Freak, which is somewhat based on
Castle Freak.
I've
never actually seen that movie.
No, it's a full moon movie, so and it was also based on Lovecraft, like loosely.
This guy's got a hard on.
It's kind of interesting. This is going to be a long episode, so I'm going to go on some tangents. Castle Freak was based on Lovecraft, but originally it was literally just a poster that Charles Band had, and he said, "Hey, here's a poster I have for a movie I want to make called Castle Freak. Stuart Gordon, make this into a movie." So he then Stuart Gordon took like a very loose idea from a Lovecraft story and tried to make
I just love Lovecraft's an author like, H.G. Wells or even like Edgar Allan Poe, where it's like, we're just going to throw his name up on it, so it's like it'll add us some cred
Pretty
to
much.
the movie, and it's like
That's kind of
and then that's how you get so much garbage that's related to some of these old authors. It's just like, oh, we're just gonna like put H.G. Wells here, and it's just like nothing like an H.G. Wells novel, and it's annoying, but there's nothing that says they can't do it, I guess.
Yeah, when it's in public domain like that, it's
you would think you would almost think though you wouldn't be allowed to use the name.
Yeah,
their estate has to still exist in some way.
Yeah. There's different things about that, and another tangent. Stephen King, for example, a lot of movies early in his career were called like Stephen King's The Shining, or maybe not for The Shining, but like Stephen King's. Sometimes they come back, and
they just know if they throw
Stephen King, Children of the Corn, and he got to the point where they made a movie called Stephen King's The Lawnmower Man, based on a short story he made, and literally nothing about that movie is similar to the short story. He got so pissed, he sued, got his name off of it, and now movies don't like say Stephen King's or whatnot, or it's like very. But
he's still alive, and he still has an estate. I'm just wondering, like H.G. Wells still has to have an estate in some way, shape, or form. So how are they okay with his name? Like, I guess there's some legal stuff I don't know about. It's just it seems weird because like. I guess this probably had enough to do with H.P. Lovecraft, where you're like, okay, like you put the name on there. I'm just kind of curious, because like, what if they said Lovecraft and it like they say the name Cthulhu one time? That's the only thing related to Lovecraft. Like, could you do that?
Because I know there was also kind of like a thing about Lovecraft, like who has the rights for him. There was like a guy who claimed that he had the rights to a lot of stuff. I'm not going to go into that because I don't know enough about Lovecraft, but I know that it was kind of a gray area for a while, and I'm not really sure what it was like in 1985, but I will say the story this is based on, it was like a 5 or 6 part story that was serialized in something, and
that's how you need the money back.
Apparently he only made like $5 per installment, so he made like what, $25 off the story.
Horrible.
So
for a man of his like stature, writing.
He thought this was one of the worst stories he ever made. He said he did it for a paycheck, basically. I
mean, I guess back in the day, $5
it was somewhat
is more, but it's still like that just seems low.
It is pretty low. Lovecraft was not idolized like he is now back during his lifetime.
Yeah, like I know like Isaac Asimov serialized stuff would be he at least got paid. I mean, once he got
a bunch of awards like that. Like he was during his lifetime.
Oh yeah,
famous.
And this
author.
was
Lovecraft, not so much. Nowadays, huge, but yeah, like back then, I think he died in poverty. Anyways,
really
the short story was sort of similar to this. Like when I was reading about like the first couple installments was kind of following this similar. There's some characters that look like in the movie they kind of split it into 2 separate characters. Some plot beats from later installments were kind of recycled in here, but there's a lot of things that were updated for the time period because it takes place in the 80s before it took place like back when Lovecraft was alive and even before that.
Back in the 1740s.
Yeah, the 1740s.
Okay. Somebody's gonna take that as like literal and be like, dude.
So there's a lot of like it's like it's kind of like the way an adaptation should be. It's not shot for shot what it should what it's in the book, but it kind of takes the ideas of it and makes it its own thing. Sort of like the Dawn of the Dead remake takes the bare bones of the Dawn of the Dead George Romero and goes for it. And I think it's good.
In a mall with zombies.
And that's it.
That's about it.
Yep.
We have a black guy that's a hero. That's about it.
Yep.
Ving Rhames is awesome.
Ving Rhames is amazing. We need to make
He needs to be in more horror movies.
We need to do Year of the Ving Rhames. Year of the Ving, guys. That's next year.
He does enough horror movies. He probably
enough
could find a decent amount.
I love Ving Rhames.
He should have been in this movie. That's why I would have watched it.
I don't know how old he would have been back then. But, anyways. Anywho. So, the story is, there's the main character is, like, played by a guy named Bruce Addett. So, Herbert West is the guy who makes, like, the serum that brings brings people back to life as like zombies, but, like...
Kind of zombies.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
They don't really want to eat you.
No, it's different, and we'll get to that in a moment. But there's his person that he lived with that is also like a doctor going like to med school, and even though like Jeffrey Combs gets like a lot of praise, like he's like the face of this movie, I think Bruce Addett was very good and like very sorrowful in a lot of his scenes, and he was very believable. So I feel like he doesn't get enough praise for this movie. But also Jeffrey Combs does deserve a lot of praise because he's a fun villain. But I guess anti-hero in a way. He's a bad guy because he does kill people, but there's just worse people in the story.
Yes, I guess.
That he doesn't look as bad, and he helps the good people that I guess you consider our heroes against the worst people. So
no one in this movie is like super good.
No, they all.
I guess they're like.
They all do things they probably shouldn't do. So anyways, it's cold opens with Herbert West being like, I don't know, in Sweden maybe or Switzerland. And he's like, there's like this doctor that he's working under, and this doctor like his blood's shooting out of his eyes, exploding, and you pretty much assume that he was like giving, like he died, so he was giving him the reagent or whatever to come back to life. And he was studying under this doctor's work to realize how to extend the lifespan of someone's brain after like the 6 to 12 minute mark. Because according to this movie, after 12 minutes you are brain dead and irreversible. This movie says, hey, we can go more than that, and then they bring him back to life.
Can they?
Yeah. So from there it goes to he moves in with like his the other main character, and the other main character is dating the dean's daughter. And there's also like this one really like prestigious not a surgeon, just like a doctor who's makes a lot of money for the entire facility. And this doctor, you find out, he seems like respectable at first, and you find out he's kind of creepy, and it's like a thing for the dean's daughter, and it just kind of escalates from there.
Yeah.
To a head, and I'll get to that later. So that guy ends up being like kind of the villain of it, even though Herbert West is pretty awful. It's another thing I want to mention about this movie. This is not like a horror comedy exactly like Shaun the Dead is or Zombieland. Hans Gruber. The doctor that Herbert West is working under for a little bit in the opening is named Hans Gruber. I found that funny.
This came out before
Die Hard, yeah.
So
yeah,
was Die Hard making a reference to this?
Deep cut. So anyways, this isn't like a straight up zombie comedy like Dead Alive or Shaun the Dead, Zombieland, stuff like that. This movie is like kind of a straight up horror movie, but sometimes just the stuff they do in it, like you laugh. It's not supposed to be like outwardly funny, but it's like the
retarded.
Like they're like reanimating a cat, and there's a point where like the guy just like straight up chucks it against a wall, and then like part of the meat of the cat sticks to the wall for a second longer and then falls down. Like it's just like little things like that just were hilarious in this movie. So anyways, from there, it kind of escalates. The dean gets, accidentally dies when they bring back some guy in the morgue, and that guy in the morgue kills the dean, and they revive the dean, but he goes, like, crazy. And that's when the doctor starts being a little bit sketch, because he's like, okay, I think this Herbert West guy is onto something. I'm going
I'm
to
gonna steal it.
Yeah, basically I'm going to steal it. So he tries to steal Herbert West's stuff, and then Herbert West decapitates him, thinks he has the upper hand, and then he revives the head and the body.
Why?
And the body immediately takes him out.
But why does that was he able to revive that guy shortly after killing him when they couldn't revive the dean? Sure.
I think because as the movie progresses, he figures out more and more about the dosages to give and things to change, and then by the time he gets to the doctor, he's able to just I don't know at that point I think he's almost perfected the serum. And then the dean also not the dean, sorry, the doctor also figures out that if you lobotomize, that's the word I'm looking for, the dead bodies, that they're much more able to listen to what you're telling them to do. So anyways, from there, the doctor, who is now ahead, kidnaps...
You might say he's the head of his class.
Kidnaps the dean's daughter, and she is unconscious at this point, and they're in the morgue, and he's reviving all these other zombies.
He's got her titties out.
Yeah, she's naked on the operating table. I guess the embalming table. Who knows? Whatever's going on in that morgue.
Yeah, it was an embalming. Yeah. It was in the morgue.
And he is.
Morgues are creepy.
Yeah, especially when you're naked. And he is holding his head as he's about to give her head, and it's a head giving a head. Giving head.
I wonder if that's kind of a joke.
I feel like it is.
I feel like that.
Knowing from what we saw from Stuart Gordon's interviews, I think that's a joke. And yeah, from there, Herbert West shows
just
up.
holding his head, and he's just doing this, and it's just
it's funny, and it's it's played it's kind of horrifying to watch, but at the same time, you can't help but laugh at it. So that's what I get when this movie it's funny.
Then they come in to stop him, and then he's just ha! And he revives all the other people. So.
And he's kind of in control of them. When he's hurting, the other zombies are hurting, which I'm not entirely sure why there's a psychic link between them. But who cares? It's Lovecraft. And one good thing about this movie is that, and it's probably for cost-cutting measures, is there's not a lot of zombies in this movie. It's not a typical zombie movie where it's a siege going on or zombies just taking over things. It's really just they revive one guy in the morgue, and then there's the dean, the doctor, and then just a bunch of zombies at the end. And that means I think they're able to put all the budget onto the gore effects going on. So all the zombies look very cool. Some of them are super burned. Some of them have their head messed up. There's pulsating veins everywhere. It's cool stuff that they have going on. And if they would have had multiple zombies in this movie, like a Romero movie, they wouldn't have been able to do the makeups quite like that. I also don't know what the budget was of this movie, but it had to have been insane. It had to have been more than most Empire
There was
Pictures.
definitely a higher budget than the majority.
That was a good one. Definitely higher budget than From Beyond. So yeah, the way it ends is also pretty cool. They're the main character and the dean's daughter are almost getting out, but then one of the zombies chokes her and kills her. So he's trying to revive her upstairs, and all the doctors up there just write her off, and she's dead. So it ends with him taking the reagent that Herbert West made and injecting it in her, and then the screen goes black, and then you just hear her scream.
He goes black, but you can still see the...
It glows in the dark.
The translucent fluid just slowly get injected.
Yeah, and then it's just black, screamed, and then the music kicks in, and it's very powerful. And I really think this movie is just a higher form of cinema than the other Empire Picture movies we've seen. But another thing that kind of takes you back to Empire is the music's done by Richard Band, Charles Band's brother. And it's top-notch music. It's the theme to Re-Animator that you get in the opening kind of trippy credits is really good, and it appears throughout the movie. It's definitely a classic. Richard Band, if he wasn't, I feel like he might have been pigeonholed to continue working with Charles Band and and stuff. I feel like he probably could have been done more higher profile movies.
Probably.
But
he's gay, so.
I
don't know why I said that.
I don't know why I said it. Those are just words that came out of my mouth.
I apologize to the LGBTQ community.
Yeah, we're going to get blacklisted.
Yeah, we're already there.
We are already there. So, anyways, what other thoughts do you have about Re-Animator?
Good movie that I have seen in the past. I just feel retarded because I said that 30 different times.
You did.
I would like to compile all of them. But yeah, it was a good movie. I'd watch it again, so it passes hey, would you watch it again?
This goes beyond just plain watchable, though.
Yeah, this is something that like you could watch alongside some of the other horror classics. It's, I mean, if you put it up against some of the classic zombie movies, it's not as good, I don't think. Arguably.
Well, what classic are you putting it up against?
Well, I'd put up like original
Romero?
Dawn of the Dead, like Ramiro's old Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
Or
I like Dawn of the Dead more.
Oh, I guess
That's
Night
a good
of the
one.
Living Dead series. Living Dead or Dead. I don't know. Well, okay.
I might put
Pet peeve.
What?
It's Night of the Living Dead, and then he continues it on as Dawn of the Dead instead of Dawn of the Living Dead. Why did he take the living out of there?
You know why?
Why?
Here, let's go on another tangent.
Because that's
It's a rights issue.
Oh.
So he directed the movie, but it was produced by this other guy, and I forget his name. That guy, maybe it was. No, I'm not even going to say that name because I feel like I might be wrong. So anyways, it was produced by another guy, and they both wanted to go in their own directions. Romero wanted to go in like Dawn of the Dead direction, but then this other guy wanted to like take the name and go into I think he was going to write a book out of it, and they couldn't agree on it. So Romero got Dead, and the other guy got Living Dead,
Oh.
and that guy wrote a book that led into Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah, I just was making that connection when you were saying it. I'm like, oh, Return of the Living Dead.
Return of the Living Dead technically is a sequel to Night of the Living
Okay,
Dead.
that doesn't make me as mad anymore.
So Romero was stuck with just of the Dead, which I think it works.
I still think we need to do a Year of the Dead.
We should.
Just saying, because there's enough Dawn of the Dead and Dawn of the Dead adjacent movies.
Too many.
There's enough that we could
Too
fill it with decent
many.
ones.
We might do that.
I think we should.
We'll see how Empire Pictures.
That's where my love for horror movies came, was zombie movies. So
Yeah, maybe we'll do it. We got to bring in some guest stars. We need to get like our friend James and Dr. Keith.
he's not technically a doctor.
Not yet, but by the time we get around to it, he will be.
Oh,
Not important.
I'm a doctor.
So, anyways, yeah, that's why Romero did that. So, yeah, I would say
that actually does make
Yeah.
sense. Like, that's cool.
I would say Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead are better. I would probably watch this over Day of the Dead.
Well, I'd watch this over Day of the Dead.
But again, Day of the Dead.
There is tangent.
Sure.
There's
let's go on.
there's parts I liked of Day of the Dead. Is Day of the Dead the one with the which one's that? That's the one with the bunker, right?
Yeah, the bunker.
Okay, so
Yeah, you're right.
it's not as strong as even Land of the Dead.
No, I enjoy Land of the Dead more.
Like, I would say, like, out of the
Wasn't
four,
as ambitious.
as the four, that's the weakest one. So yeah, no, actually,
Yeah.
this
gore effects are good of Day of the Dead, but the story is weaker, and it feels like Romero wanted to do something and didn't have the budget.
I find it more claustrophobic as well.
What were we gonna say?
But I feel like this might be pretty close to Land of the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Like, putting it up there.
Land of the Dead, I feel like is a
I'm trying to
guilty
think-
pleasure.
I'm trying to think of other zombie movies that this would probably trump. I mean, there's a lot.
that it wouldn't though. Like
I mean,
Return of the Living Dead.
That's just a personal.
I feel bad that when I was listening to zombie comedies, I did not put Return of the Living Dead. That is the best zombie comedy.
That's
Even more than Shaun
That's
of
had
the
a
Dead,
special
in my
place
mind.
in my heart since like I watched it the first time. So that's
That's a good one.
even the second one might be better.
That's a good
After
one.
that-
Re-Animator.
After that, Re-Animator beats them all. I have to watch the second one again. I haven't watched it in a few years. But, so I guess we're on a tangent. So, if anybody's actually sat this far into this and you want a Year of the Dead, let us
One
know.
comment and we'll do it. That's all it takes, guys.
I'm going to comment on it now. Year of the Dead.
But yeah, I would love to do Year of the Dead. And just zombie, and even like sprinkle in some random zombie movies like Zombieland. I love.
Like Re-Animator.
Shaun of the Dead, Re-Animator. We can review the sequels to Re-Animator. There's another adaptation of this short
I
story.
didn't know there were sequels to Re-Animator.
So we will get around to reviewing the 2 sequels to Re-Animator. Herbert West is in both of them, and at the end of this movie, it was implied that he died.
But you didn't really see
You
him
didn't see him die.
That's actually something I was wondering the entire time.
So I would say if you just watch this movie alone, Herbert West dies. But if you watch the sequels as a whole franchise, it's a trilogy. Also, I think the same guy produced it, Brian Usna, and then I think Stuart Gordon also directs.
One
at
of
least the
like,
first one.
if
I
we
think-
did a Year of the Dead and it wasn't just like Dawn of the Dead, like related stuff and Night of the Living Dead, this would definitely be in there.
It's a good
But
one.
it is probably, and this is funny because we never watched it when we were really into zombie movies.
No.
Which is because
I find it so
I never heard of this until we were into more slasher stuff. So it's interesting that it's a because it would definitely go into if you had, hey, we have 12 slots to fill or 24 slots even of zombie movies.
Re-Animator would be.
It would be in there. So it was good. It's probably the highlight of what we've watched.
It is the highlight. This is the best Empire picture movie, I think. It is a classic.
Have
it deserves a classic.
Halloween, everybody.
Yeah, you guys, spook it up.
I'm off on Halloween, so I'm gonna spook it up.
Because all those. This is coming out on Halloween, and all these people who all of our fans are gonna watch this on Halloween, obviously. So, thank you guys for supporting our channel. All one of you. This is a total flop.